Um, so I guess my next question would be 2021. I guess a lot of people might be scared to go out and start a site in the middle of
Mm.
COVID, um, or even
Yeah.
coming out of COVID. So is
Hmm.
starting a clinical site in 2021 for someone who doesn't have any background information about starting a site, is that still feasible in 2021 and beyond?
It's never been a better time. If, there's the big if you're the right person to start a business, first of all, um, and if you're willing to, like, get a lot of rejection. But yes, the industry needs diversity. There's no possible way to get more diversity, more blacks or Hispanics or Asians enrolled in research outside of building research clinics in those communities. And so it's never been a better time for research naive physicians. Sponsors don't care if you're a new site, they care about your PI.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we're talking about research naive physicians here. If they're partnered with somebody who knows what they're doing, preferably a study coordinator, uh, you could be successful. You just need the biz dev part taken care of. Like, you need to. This is what my live stream was this morning. You need to be on clinicaltrials.gov. You need to be constantly looking for study leads, what's new, networking with other sites, and just emailing like 10, 15, 20 leads a week, if not a day, until you start getting some studies. And then hopefully you have the patient thing taken care of, which is why you're presumably why you're opening the clinic in the first place, is you have access to patients that the industry needs. So yeah, never been a better time, but also um, this is one of those businesses where it has so many moving parts. It's very easy to fail
Hmm.
and lose a lot of money very quickly if you don't know what you're doing.
So how much money do you need to start a site?
So it could range. Okay, my site in Yuma, I spent $100 on our logo, and I never do a logo first, but my wife insisted we'd get a logo. So I got a logo. I got a website, so that's $800. I got an email. My email was free through Squarespace. I got a
Okay.
free Gmail account for a year. I negotiated no rent with my PI, so zero. I will be the coordinator. I will eventually pay a coordinator 3,000 a month once we get our first study.
Okay.
So I paid almost nothing. Uh, Maybe the PI didn't have enough space, or maybe the PI says no, get your own place. That's a little riskier. You got to now take out a lease. Try not to ask for personal guarantees. You also need to buy the equipment, which, if you're using a doctor space, guess what? They come with most of the equipment you need,
Oh,
and they
okay.
let you use it. They even let me use their MAs. Like, hey, doctor, we have this patient here. I'm not going to draw the blood. Can one of your MAs do it? And they just go do it. I give them like $20 or bring them a Starbucks, like, for a thank you. Thank you for the blood draw.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
So okay, so you basically start. I mean, you're talking $1,000 or less here for startup.
Right.
That's like insane for a business to have such low startup, especially one with the potential to be this successful.
Right. The thing is, you have to sell yourself to the doctor, because I guarantee you this doctor would not have said yes if he can tell that I didn't know what I'm talking about. Like me 15 years ago, I don't think he would have said yes,
Okay.
right? He would have maybe charged me, or maybe told me to like lease my own place right next to him and then he'll come. But I'm taking on more risk. So a lot of it has to do with your expertise. So if you're a CRA, you can leverage that expertise. If you're a coordinator, you could leverage that expertise, and then you come across as knowledgeable. But if you're somebody who just like got the idea yesterday, I mean, you got to do your homework. You got to really know what you're doing. Like, go volunteer at a site, go be a coordinator somewhere for 3 months. Just do something so that when you talk to these doctors, that they're more inclined to say yes.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think definitely coordinator was probably the best fit to do
The
this because
best, the
even as a
best.
CRA, I mean, I don't think I could go run a site. tomorrow. I don't think I could do
I
that.
think you could because I know you, but well, I know you well enough, I guess, to make that assessment. Like I'd bet on you, but there are some CRA. CRA is tricky, man, because CRA they're entitled, and not, I don't know about you. I don't think you're entitled, but a lot of CRAs are entitled. We get a lot of calls from CRAs that say, "Hey, I'm fed up with my job. I want to start a site. I saw Doctor So and So open a clinic, and they're doing well, and it's nothing fancy. I know all the regulations." Okay, yeah, you do, and you're a CRA, but have you ever been a coordinator? Have you ever like dealt with a patient when they don't feel like coming? Have you ever dealt with a patient's family when they don't feel like coming? Have you ever got through an SSV and convinced the other CRA that you're a right fit when your PI is research naive? Like those are things you got to do, and I don't think as a CRA you're prepared to do that because as a CRA you're taught to follow protocol and just be in this like little box.
You're right.
That's the
Especially
problem.
especially at a CRO where they're very very it's kind of like they're in a train tracks and they have to stay within the tracks.
Yeah.
Like they can't really go off of it, especially because they have at a CRO or like these large companies, they have other people to do their job. Now maybe at like a small firm where you have to wear many hats, you might
Yes.
understand more of like, startup process because I know for me, I only know about what's going on when I have to go on site and do a selection visit or an
Mm.
SIV. I don't really know about the stuff to get there necessarily, or I don't know deeply about it. I just know what I need to do to go select them to get into the study.
Hopefully they send you to select our site for the study.
uh, we'll see. You never know.
But yeah, CRAs is tricky, man, and you'll be surprised. I get tons of CRAs, cocky. I love CRAs, but the ones who tend to call me are like entitled. I know all this. Okay, then why don't you have a PI? Oh, well, that's why I'm calling you. Well, okay. You need to find a PI. I don't know how I can help you. You need to have these conversations with it. It's not that easy. It's
Right.
not like your knowledge doesn't mean anything in the practical world. I mean, what are you going to do for that PI? What and then how are you going to get those patients? That's your knowledge your skill set has to change.
Right. But Dan, what I'm thinking is, so you starting this up with less than $1,000, but even if you had to pay him to use a room in his clinic, let's
Right.
say that was like $400 a month or something just to use that room.
Out here that'd be fair, yeah,
That's
probably.
okay. Okay, 500. Let's say five hundred
In LA
dollars.
that's not fair.
Right. It'd probably be triple that.
Yeah.
Let's just say $500. So even then, you're still only talking, $1,500 for the
Right.
startup fee for the first month, and then $500 a month after that.
Right.
So it sounds like you're getting a better deal out of this. But what does the PI get out of this?
The PI in my situation, the PI gets 20% of the gross revenue.
Okay,
So
a
my
revenue
current
share.
yeah, 20% of the gross, like off the top.
Okay,
Um that's what he's getting. I really want to make this PI a partner. And I think so a lot of my meetings lately, I've already convinced him to do it. We're applying for studies already. We're not even talking about that anymore. We're on the next phase. How do we do this study that we could potentially get? Where's the derm? I need a sub I need an ophthalmologist. We're talking more like X's and O's at this point.
right,
But I'm doing separate meetings with him and his partner on selling him the vision for why he should be a partner, right? Because when you find somebody that good and checks all the boxes, it behooves you to partner with them. And yes, if you don't grow, he's going to make less as like let's say a 25% equity partner because at that point you're only getting 25% of the profits
right,
as opposed to 20% of the gross.
right,
Okay, but when you start selling him on the idea, well, 20 minutes away, there's another city with an NP. We can get the same studies there. Their doctors can do it. Now you're getting 25% off of that too. You don't even have to even ever go there. So now I'm selling him on the vision. That's the phase I'm in now. And I think it's working. I mean, he checks all the boxes. He's getting ready to retire, but a huge practice, open to easy to work with, he checks all the right boxes for me, but I still need to find more PIs. Like, don't ever depend on one, even if that one is going to be your partner. Find others.
Right.
I mean, anything can happen. I told you about the PI I currently had that got breast cancer.
Right.
That's life.
And Dan, you've been talking about that for years now. I remember
Yeah.
you back in 2017 talking about always have multiple PIs if you can.
And it's not easy to do because even for me, like, I'm not actively searching for new PIs here yet because I just got this guy,
Right.
right? So I'm like kind of, I'm not in relax mode. My activities are geared towards getting studies now, as opposed to getting other doctors. But there's a nurse practitioner business partner who I've also sold the vision to, and he's looking at other doctors in even more underserved areas out here. Like, the outskirts of this small town is like really small border towns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm in a small border town that's 20 minutes away from the border. We're talking 2 minutes from the border, the
Wow.
cities. So that's where we're gonna expand to out here.
So is the land cheap and the cost of living cheap out there too? Well, I guess everything's cheap
It
compared
used
to
to
LA,
be
but
compared to California, yeah. But you know what? My neighbor to the left, behind me, and this way, this one hasn't been built yet. They're all California,
yep,
all of them,
yep.
and mainly, well, most of them for political reasons. But in my case, it was taxes first. It wasn't honestly, it wasn't politics for me. It was taxes and the ability to
Opportunity.
have a support system for the family, and then the opportunity.
Yeah.